Hey guys, Bix Weir, roadtour.com with a little bit of a sore throat. My buddy Will there from Perpetual Assets. We just got back from an Acapulco. Right now we're sitting under the flight path of the San Diego airport at Will's house. Beautiful house. Beautiful Ocean Beach. Is that the name of the place? OB San Diego. We've been talking a lot all week about cryptos, when they'll be allowed to run. I did a big speech on crypto manipulation that I hope everybody caught. I did post it to the Road to Ruta website. But what I didn't see yet, which should be obvious to everybody now, is Steve Mnuchin and friends in the U.S. government has given us crypto holders the biggest gift ever. Lower prices, cheaper cryptos, because they keep flapping their lips about regulation. All they're doing is trying to slow down the rise. They can't stop it. They know they can't stop it. They will be removed from office at some point in time anyway, because the future of money is about freedom and liberty. It's not about controlling the currency, because they have failed miserably at that, as we all know.
I mean, I'm looking at the
Forbes. It's a Forbes article.
You can really gather just by the tone in the title and just like where they're going with it. Blow to Bitcoin as significant. U.S. crypto crackdown suddenly revealed. I mean, they make it sound all... The U.S. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency community has had a rough week, and its future is looking bleak.
To who?
What
to
are you
who?
talking about?
Everyone around the world's getting cheaper Bitcoin today because Steve Mnuchin, obvious criminal from Goldman Sachs, head of computer market rigging at Goldman Sachs, has decided amongst his little friends and his little friends at Forbes magazine to put a Bitcoin hit piece out to slow down the price rise. This is a gift to anybody buying cryptos. If you're ready to buy your first crypto, now's a great time. You don't want to buy it as it's going crazy up. You want to buy it when they do stupid things like this to try to force the price down. Voila, you got cheaper cryptos today. Let me read some more of this article. I have my computer in my lap. I'm not just looking at the ground. This week, Treasury Secretary Mnuchin warned, quote, significant new Bitcoin and crypto regulations are on their way. And Federal Reserve President Neil Kashkari is probably the number one criminal behind the 2008 secret bank bailouts, printing literally trillions of dollars. It was 29 trillion that he was in charge of with TARP and all that crap. And he is just, they are scrambling to save their old system. At the same time, they're printing trillions of dollars. Trillions. Yes, the Fed said we're gonna cut back a little on the repo bailouts, and at the same time, the FICC has secretly increased the amount of quote guarantees they've offered the banks, which is another form of the repo bailout on steroids. And I'll be talking about that tomorrow because the new numbers come out for January. For example, the FICC is a division of the DTCC. DTCC, Depository Clearing Trust Corporation, we've talked about that a million times. They do not have the shares. They're supposed to settle all shares over, 200 million shares on the New York Stock Exchange don't get settled every single day. It is a huge Ponzi scheme, fractional reserve system in stocks, in bonds, obviously in metals. And I talked about it in cryptos. It's like 10 times what it is in the metals. It's insane. But Kashkari was knee deep in that. Last week they reported 35 trillion last year can't be accounted for in adjustments in the federal budget. The year before that it was 30, and the year before that it was 25 trillion. Trillion with a T.
And people just overlook these.
Who's losing control of what is what I want to know. Why do you think they came out and said this? That's exactly why. And finally, so that's Mnuchin saying significant new regulations. Kashkari saying this is what he said. Branded cryptocurrencies, quote, a giant garbage dumpster. And then finally, Department of Justice called Bitcoin mixing a crime. We're back. Technical malfunction. But let me finish the end of this. This is in Forbes. You guys should read it. It was published on February 16th, right as Bitcoin was starting to go. What do they have to do? They have to pound on it as much as they can. Not because they think it's a bad thing. They think it is an amazing thing. It's too good is the problem. The United States of America should not be in charge of anybody's money. Nobody, no central banker, no human being should be in charge of money. Humanity in general should be in charge of money if we're going to use money at all. That's what Bitcoin represents. That's why they hate it so much. Take Bitcoin and what Steve Mnuchin is saying here and put it in front of the Constitution, and what do you get? Where's the liberty? Where's the freedom? It's gone. If you have Steve Mnuchin, Neil Kashkari in the Justice Department coming down on one of the most free currencies in the history of mankind, you got to wonder about the Justice Department, Steve Mnuchin, and Neil Kashkari. They're the problem. Let's go to the Supreme Court and get these bastards thrown out of here. Trump, I don't know what the hell you're doing. You know, you're doing so much good stuff, taking out the bad guys, you're forgetting about the number one bad guy tool, which is the unbacked fiat monetary system. That, you take that out and they're done. It's over. Yes, mass chaos. Mass chaos is coming anyway. The problem, Mr. Trump, I know you watch my stuff, the problem you have right now is the same problem we had over the last 110 years. Everybody had to kick the can down because it's too chaotic to end the old system. So what do you have? More and more and more and more. It's harder and harder to end the old system because you've waited so long. That's the problem now. So Trump, if you get booted out of office, which I don't think you will, but if you do, then we're back to stage one and you didn't do what you promised to do, which is free the American people. Read the Constitution. Tell me where in the Constitution it says that the U.S. government has the ability to rig every market. I can tell you where that got signed in after the Constitution. It was the 1934 Gold Confiscation Act. They created the, what is it called? The Plunge Protection Team. No, that was in the Working Group on Financial Market was 88, 89 with Bush Sr. But the ability to rig markets came with the Exchange Stabilization Fund, which was created in the 1934 Gold Confiscation Act. That's bullshit. That is so unconstitutional. It's American. As an American, I'm just on a rant right now. I'll get to Will in a second. Woo. As an American, they had to create this thing called the United States of America Corporation in the late 1800s so that they could put in all these unconstitutional laws. Everything since then has been skirting the line of constitutionality. Confiscating America's gold? Where in the Constitution does it even remotely address that? It's complete bullshit. We are being toyed with and played with. We need to end this bullshit, and Steve Mnuchin needs to be brought up on charges. One, for all the criminality he was engaged in when he was at Goldman Sachs. I mean, that's a big one that needs to be investigated. Hey, all you Democrat liberals out there, you want to get Trump? Go after Steve Mnuchin and what he did, one, at Goldman Sachs, and two, when he was in Hollywood as a movie producer. Who was he connected with? Go down that little rabbit hole. We can get this little bastard out of here. Anyway, what I wanted to read you was the final comment from these absolutely retarded people who are put in charge of our sovereignty, our liberty, and our freedom. Here it is. Kashkari says, the reason that the dollar has value is because the U.S. government has a legal monopoly on producing the dollar. Is that why it has value? Because the U.S. government has guns pointed at people if they don't accept it? Pretty much. Said Kashkari, speaking in Montana event, after being asked would he rather his 1-year-old daughter be gifted a Treasury bond or a Bitcoin for her next birthday. I love that. Let's look exactly where those will end up in the next, when she turns 16. And then he said this, in the virtual currency, cryptocurrency world, there are thousands of these garbage coins out there. Literally, people have been fleeced for tens of billions of dollars, and finally the SEC is involved in cracking down on this. So you're calling everything a garbage coin. You think the invention of Bitcoin was a garbage coin? It has the ability to free humanity from your criminal slavery unbacked fiat system. How could you call that garbage? It was brilliant. Just because it's kicking your ass and going up in value in relation to the US dollar, you're all pissy about it.
He's obviously talking about ICOs, you know.
ICOs, there's some great ICOs out there that happen. Yeah, there's a lot of crap coins. But hey, Mr. Regulator, why didn't you get in there? And who's regulating what? The SEC says they regulate cryptos. The CFTC says they regulate cryptos. The Treasury says they regulate cryptos. The IRS says we get money off all of it. It's complete bullshit. Show me the law that says you got to do X, Y, Z on cryptocurrencies. They refuse to pass one. It's all bullshit. Anyway, the reason I came on today is I learned more on this trip to Acapulco about perpetual assets and what they're doing to help people get into cryptos. We have a crash in the crypto market facilitated and triggered by Steve Mnuchin, Kaskari, and the DOJ saying, basically they're saying, we don't want cryptos to go up so fast. Same thing Chris Giancarlo said when they popped the 2017 bubble. He said, oh, if we didn't pop the bubble, it would have kept going up. Why does it go up? It's because it's undervalued. It's an undervalued asset. In a free market, undervalued assets go up. It's only the rigging and price manipulation done by Steve Mnuchin, Neil Kaskari, the DOJ in this instance, and Forbes magazine, who's all in on the game. They're absolutely all in on the game. It's only because of those criminals that we have such crazy volatility. Cryptos are still massively undervalued because the old system is on life support through the repo market and through bailouts by the FICC. And I spent the whole week with Will down there at Acapulco talking about how can we get people involved with cryptocurrencies. They're still complicated, absolutely. If you want to buy cryptocurrencies, you've never dealt with cryptocurrencies, and you have a big chunk of money you want to put into them, call Perpetual Assets, talk to Will, and he'll take care of you. He'll walk you through the process. They'll even buy it for you and stick it in your wallet. Perpetualassets.com, or you can email Will directly, will at
perpetualassets.com.
Phone number is
888-281-2630.
Yes. So really exciting stuff. And we were also talking about, because a lot of people, they want to be involved, but they don't know how to do it. We're talking about Perpetual Assets growing the cryptocurrency side of their business to facilitate sales in the future and have both sides of the coin in case people are freaked out. Well, I want to get out because it went up 1,000%, and they don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's a big deal when you think about 2017, and if you had, any kind of money in crypto and then it ran up, it was hard to really get much, larger dollar amounts out of crypto if you wanted to take some profits. And
especially because Coinbase would freeze up. Oh, we're down for maintenance.
They had limits.
Down for maintenance is bullshit. They're trying to get the coins cheap so that they can sell it to you more expensive.
Exchanges were almost impossible to use at that time, and even they have limits too. So if you are all of a sudden, I want to sell 50,000, 100,000, whatever, a chunk of Bitcoin, it's very difficult. So I think that's going to be really helpful for people that can use this for fast, we can wire dollars into your bank account same day kind of thing on the trade, so it'll be really helpful. And
they got all the licenses they need, the KYC. Yes, you're gonna have to go through KYC. The minimum crypto purchase is what?
$10,000.
$10,000. So if you're a little guy, just go to Coinbase, get your crypto, but get it off the exchange.
Definitely. Immediately,
if you're on any exchange, if anybody else holds your cryptos, they'll be gone.
I can't believe how many people I talk to that still have crypto on an exchange or a hot wallet somewhere, and it's like, oh, I just need...
Or on their phone.
Yeah.
I mean, a phone wallet, it's better than on the exchange because you don't have that third party, but they're also susceptible to hacks and all kinds. You lose your wallet, you lose your seed phrase, all that stuff. Spend some time. Go to YouTube and type in, how do I use the Trezor wallet, which is a hardware wallet? How do I make paper wallets?
Yeah, different cold storage wallet options. There's a bunch of them. You can just Google them and research them.
And as confusing as it might sound right now, when we were first getting in, it was 50 times worse. And it was really hard. So if we could do it back then, you can do it now. Yes. It just takes a little energy, time, and effort. And absolutely, it is. Cryptos are the future of money. Every day you look at the stock market, you go, oh my God, it's rigged, it's rigged, it's rigged. Let's just talk briefly about what's going on with the coronavirus, whether or not it's deadly, whether or not it's real, whether or not, it doesn't really matter. The reality is the globalization of goods has pretty much stopped. since China has, look at the power usage in China has pretty much died off. I think in some areas it dropped 80%. Wow. That means, what does that mean? It means GM can't get parts for their cars. That means they can't make a car.
Things are
if
not
they have,
produced.
They're not being produced. Globalization. And the funny thing is, I've been looking for this article in the Financial Times, and anybody who can find it, please send it to me. Alan Greenspan wrote an article for the Financial Times after he left the Fed, but before now, 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, talked about the reversal of globalization would destroy everything. And that's what we're seeing right now with China. The Chinese, the stopping of flow of goods. And we were talking at an Acapulco on the conspiracy side, perhaps this is China's way of getting back at us. By saying they're not going to war, they're just saying, okay, we're going to stop manufacturing goods because everybody's sick and we want everybody to stay in their houses and things like that. Don't go to work. And voila, who is going to take the biggest hit? U.S. banks, the big banking cabal who is knee-deep. HSBC, that's where all their investments are, in Asia. So good night, HSBC, which is a criminal bank anyway. They screwed China in the early days, and now China's going to screw them. I do think that this virus is a big deal. I think it will spread to the U.S. It has about a 6-day doubling rate. So say 10 people have it now in the U.S. Within 6 days, it's going to be 20. Within 6 more days, it'll be 40, and blah, blah, blah. And that's working its way through China, Japan, all throughout Asia right now. There are cases in the U.S., and it's going to just keep doubling and doubling. Cliff High has it as we are going to be living differently. We won't be traveling the same. We won't be greeting people. We won't be shaking hands anymore.
We saw it in Acapulco.
We did.
We met people who were like, "Oh, I don't shake hands. I'm not shaking hands."
There were some odd people in Acapulco too.
As always.
Look, you're all in the sun here.
Yeah, it's happening. It's moving.
He likes to stay tan. I'm a white boy on the beach. I turn red in about 30 seconds. So
I like the warmth too.
Yeah. Hey, anyway, if you wanted to get into cryptos and you're thinking, oh, the price went too high, boom, you got what, 15% drop, some down 20% from their recent highs. I can't tell you when the bottom is. I can't tell you to hodl. Hodl, because the problem is not Bitcoin. Steve Mnuchin and Neil Kashkari, they're pissed, but the problem is not cryptocurrencies. The problem is the poor orchestrating, the poor governance of the unbacked fiat monetary system. They are bailing out every bank right now. Remember, in 2008, they gave the banks $700 billion and leveraged it to $29 trillion. How much have they given the banks now? $785 billion at my last count, including the FICC guarantees, which nobody seems to talk about. And that's the key. The FICC is guaranteeing things, but the FICC has no money. They are the largest repo taker. And then the banks are behind them. JP Morgan, number one. Again, Jamie Dimon needs to go to jail. Trump, one more time, if you're listening, do your frickin' job. Put the right people in jail and let the pieces fall where they may, because the entirety of the United States of America cannot be based on a lie, a fake economic system that you're running right now. You lie about unemployment, you lie about jobs, you lie about everything. There's nothing that's not being lied about, and they rig the market every day. Steve Mnuchin was head of computer market rigging at Goldman Sachs. He walks into the Treasury in the morning. In the basement of the Treasury is a computer trading floor. He walks over, he clicks a mouse, and then he goes home because he wanted the stock market to go up 500%. It is ridiculous. It is criminal. It is not what my country should do and not what we should be. And all it is doing is facilitating the end of America. And I'm going to fight for my country till the end of my last breath. Will,
woo!
What do you think?
Man, what was in your coffee this morning?
I don't know. Probably tequila.
Bix is fired up. It's post in Acapulco 2020. We're winding down from the conference.
We're winding down. I think I'm winding up. I was pretty much wound down during the an Acapulco conference, which was amazing. Jeff Berwick is the man.
It was a blast.
It's amazing how he put this thing together. You get a little bit of everybody from everywhere, and all the people we hung out with.
Including deep state provocateurs.
There were a couple deep state provocateurs that Jeff got to encounter. I think he's encountered them before. He didn't really recognize. This time he's like chucking people out. You're out of here, and the security would come grab the guy and take him. It was cool.
It was really good. Yeah.
And his handler.
The late night bar scene the other night at the bar.
You know what it reminded me of is the Star Wars bar. You know, and all these the weird characters. Oh my god,
Klingons and different aliens. Yeah.
From midnight to 2 in.the.morning at the Acapulco main lobby bar, you're gonna get all kinds of different aliens walking in
On a
and
Friday or
and
a
we
Saturday
did
night. Yeah.
on Saturday night. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, I just want to check in and say, hey, thank you, Steve Mnuchin. Love you for dropping the price of Bitcoin so we can buy all our cryptos cheaper. You're a sweetheart. Bravo. All you're doing is re-energizing the crypto people to load up. And if you do load up, make sure you take it off the exchanges, get it into your own possession. If you don't know what we're talking about, call Will and say, hey, I got over 10 grand. I got $20 million I want to invest in Litecoin. This is not investment advice, but call Will and he'll take care of you guys. The phone number again is
888-281-2630.
Write it down or just send him an email, will@perpetualassets.com.
That's us.
Will, great time again. We're off on a plane soon. I'll be talking to you guys tomorrow morning about the FICC numbers, which should be released tomorrow at some point. So you guys take care.